and good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to INC Radio on another lovely weekend. I am Taylor Joy Lagpakan from the local congregation of Temecula Valley.
And I'm Jasmine Manankil, also from the local congregation of Temecula Valley.
And you are tuned into INC Radio
San Diego.
Thank you for joining us. We are so happy to spend our Saturday morning with all of you today. In case you didn't know, we have a very informative topic for everyone today that we're going to be discussing. We're going to be discussing healthy food alternatives, or as we like to say here on INC Radio San Diego, because we love food puns, these are unbelievable healthy alternatives. Get it? Like your leafy greens, leafable. Anyway,
I love it.
Thank you. we're running with that title for today, so hope you enjoy. Before we jump into our discussion with our very special in studio guest, be sure to like and subscribe to the INC Radio YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. And while you're at it, be sure to share this link to view our show today with your friends and family so they can join in and also benefit from our discussion. How else can people be involved in our show today, Jazz?
We also would love to know where all of you are tuning in from. So in the live chat, let us know where you are tuning in from with your local chat.
Yes. So I know in the past for our local shout out challenge, we've used symbols like the hashtag symbol. From now on, we are going to not use that. I repeat, please do not include the hashtags, otherwise known as the number symbol.
Or the pound.
The pound sign. Yeah, you do not need to include that anymore. Actually, please don't include that. You can just leave it as your local shout out names that you see here on the screen. We're still going to tally them up and announce the winners next week. And of course, be sure to stay tuned today because we'll announce last week's challenge winners in our show. Yes. All right. We hope that's clear. Have fun. Hope you can shout out your local congregation as much as you want. It still counts as one shout out per comment. Yes, that still applies. All right. Without further ado, let's jump into our discussion, shall we? As I mentioned before, we do have a special in-studio guest with us, also from Temecula Valley. Temecula Valley represent today. Please join me in welcoming Sister Mia. Yay! Here she is. I feel like we just had you on the show. Yes. We love having you, obviously, because you're back once again. Sister Mia, for anyone who has not had the pleasure of meeting you yet, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. So, like these lovely ladies have introduced, my name is Mia, Sister Mia Camaquin. I'm from the local congregation of Temecula. I am an organist here in the local, and I also am married to an organist, a very handsome brother. His name's Brother Ariel Camaquin, and we have a beautiful daughter. Her name's Ariel Louise, who's actually in studio today, so we're excited.
Yes, we are excited to have both of you here today, especially because our topic today is healthy food swaps, substitutions. So before we jump into our questions, could you maybe share with everyone what your background is in terms of this topic, or what your professional background is?
Yes, of course. So I am practicing currently as a family nurse practitioner. And so some of the discussion that I'll be giving today will be the advice that I give to my very own patients as well.
Love it. We are getting the expert advice today. Before we ask you our first question, Sister Mia, Jazz, would you like to give the live chat a question to think about for now?
Yes, we have a question for all of you in the live chat. A great way to stay engaged with us today. So number 1, what is hardest to cut back on? Is it A, sugary drinks, B, fast food, C, processed snacks, or D, rice?
Ooh, that's a lot of stuff I eat on that daily.
Same.
What would your answer be to this, Jazz?
Ooh, it's hard for me to cut back on, I would say, processed snacks. I had one this morning, I hate to admit, but
They're just
I
so
speak the
easily
truth.
accessible.
They are.
And convenient. What about you, Sister Mia? Do you have an answer to this, or are you just like super healthy?
No,
This
so I
doesn't
want to
apply?
say that, being healthy, sometimes it's all about moderation. And so
Yeah.
sometimes we do indulge in some yummy snacks, some sugary drinks and desserts,
Mhm.
and rice, it's part of a staple in our Filipino culture, right?
Very true.
And so, but don't fret. We have some really good information about what you can do, and that includes not cutting back on rice. So we'll talk a little bit about that later on.
Ooh, not cutting back on rice. Everybody has to stay tuned now. That was a good hook. Thank you for mentioning that. All right, so let's dive into it, shall we? For those who don't know where to start, what are some simple food swaps they can make to eat healthier? I know a lot of us are trying to eat healthier as much as we can. So, what's your input on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, remember that eating healthy is not just like a 1 day or 1 month thing. I eat a salad here and I'm good, I'm healthy. It's really more of a lifestyle change, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give some like 5 or 6 key pointers that you can replace or introduce into your lifestyle.
Mhm.
And hopefully, slow steps can help change your overall diet. And so the first thing is shopping. When we grocery shop, try to avoid and like reaching out for those foods, those easily prepared food. Those are like a
Mhm.
lot of the processed things. So I'll start first with cooking.
Yeah.
Cooking oil. So according to the American Heart Association, it's recommended, these are the lists that are recommended on their website, but cooking oil with healthier to cook with olive oil, avocado oil, peanut oil. Be wary of any allergies. Sesame oil, canola oil. So I know canola oil has gotten its bad rap, and that's because some companies don't have pure canola oil. So you want to just read your ingredients and see what's there. You want to avoid butter, margarine, coconut oil. Now, that's a big one because a lot of people think, oh, coconut is so healthy.
Yeah.
But actually, like coconut oil, when you see it like in room temperature, it hardens.
Mhm.
And that's what we don't want in our body because it can lead to cardiac disease. It can clot some arteries. And so avoiding that is important.
That's so
Mm.
interesting because it's actually something trending nowadays.
So true.
So yeah, that's a good point that you
Yeah,
made.
avoid it. Other things are, and then another big section to kind of switch is our proteins. So it's recommended that you avoid any of the red meats. So according to American Heart Association, we're only supposed to have about 1 to 3 meals that have red meats. What are better options? Well, fish, seafood, plant proteins like lentils, beans, legumes. In the Filipino culture, we have mung beans.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. And then, of course, leaner cuts of meat. Yogurt is also a good option. It has a lot of protein, but be wary because some yogurt is, all yogurt is not equal. There's some
Yeah.
high sugary, high calorie yogurt. So you want to look for low fat. Usually the non-fat Greek yogurt is a good option. And sometimes you have to try things out.
For sure.
Mm.
Interesting. These are all really good.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in our live chat are saying that the hardest for them to cut back on are B, fast food, and C, but a lot are also saying D, rice.
Yeah.
So fast food, processed snacks, and rice.
And a lot of them are saying all of the above.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Fair.
I completely get it. Like I am a mother and sometimes we're on the roll. We have such busy lives and sometimes like we need to go and get something that's already prepared. We often go to like fast food restaurants, but we'll talk about that too because there are some fast food restaurants that have different options that are healthier than maybe just a quick burger.
That's what I need to hear about. All right, let's jump into that. But before we do so, we also have some comments from those tuning in from Brother Ronnie Lee and Siete. The food puns, there's something blocking. The food puns are not just good, they are grape. Add that to the pun counter.
Sister Precious Capistrano says hardest to cut back on is rice and bread. Ooh, I love bread too.
That's a big one.
Mhm.
Also from Julie Tumbaga, hard to cut back on rice for sure. You're not alone there.
And Sister Cynthia Papa, she is the chip monster, she says.
Chips are really good. They're
Yes.
addicting. From Leanne Fernandez, cutting back from processed snacks is such a challenge.
I agree.
Yes.
TMV.
TMV.
Thank you for your shout out.
Yes. And also, just one more from Sister Cynthia Papa as well. I'm likely the only Filipina that doesn't eat white rice. I have heard cooling it down first helps with insulin spike on blood sugar. Interesting.
Yes, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
We should.
Yeah, so I'm going to touch a little bit more about some other food swaps, seasonings and condiments. We tend to like, extra dips, dressings, maybe some ranch, maybe some barbecue sauce.
Ranch is
And
so
these can add a lot of calories. They have a lot of sugar and salt content. So simple things that you can switch out is go to low sodium soy sauce, maybe using herbal seasonings instead of things that have very high sodium content. And get this, there is low sodium ketchup. Look at look at the ingredients, but it's a huge difference when you're looking at low sodium condiments. My husband, who is also very good at finding healthy alternatives because he's trying to build, muscle mass.
Nice.
So ranch is kind of a big staple in our family, and he found an alternative. He uses non-fat Greek yogurt and adds some ranch seasoning in there. And he makes his own ranch, and it tastes the same. It's high in protein, low in fat and sugar. So these are very simple things you can do.
I like that. I know ranch, like homemade ranch. I've heard people using Greek yogurt, like you mentioned, and also blended cottage cheese.
Yes, we've tried both.
Okay, nice.
I have to say, I'm better. I have a tendency to like the yogurt better than the cottage cheese. It's just the texture, but you know what? Explore. Everyone has a different taste. And that's, I think, one of the most challenging things is people think, oh no, it's going to be hard to acquire that taste. But our bodies change, our tastes change. And sometimes it's just breaking that habit.
True. I like that. Thank you for mentioning those. Any other food swaps for now?
Yes.
Okay.
The biggest one that we're all kind of leaning towards is rice. Simple things that many people know about are like swapping to brown rice, quinoa, cauliflower rice. But guess what? There was a study done a couple of years ago that showed that when you cooked rice, so when you freeze it, it changes the chemical component of it. So just to simplify it, it changes its texture. And so what happens is when you reheat it up, it doesn't get absorbed in the gut. And instead it acts like a fiber. It goes to the digestive tract and you just poop it out. It doesn't absorb. And so this is what me and my family have been doing, because we've tried a lot of the alternatives, which is very challenging, but we freeze it up. You can put it in a bag just like that, or you can even shape it up into something that's easier. You just reheat it with some like a warm wet towel, and voila, you have an alternative.
That is life-changing to know. Wow. And now that you mention it, a lot of people have been mentioning it too on social media. It's definitely become definitely believable and something worth trying, because a lot of people are talking about it, but they never dive into how exactly that works.
There is definitely some medical background in studies there. So I can say with confidence that yes, it is a great alternative, especially for those who have high sugars, like or are battling diabetes. And it's like in our culture, like I said, it's such a staple. Another thing to look out for is juices. My husband sometimes says, I don't like to drink my calories. I like to eat them. And that's absolutely true. A lot of our drinks, like our coffee drinks, are high in sugars. Energy drinks and juices, they tend to have too much sugar, which equals calories. Alternatives are smoothies. Like my daughter loves, she loves our special drinks, our smoothies, because we just load it up with spinach and carrots, and then you just put like one sweet banana, and voila, it's like this sweet, nourishing drink. And of course, alternatives for caffeine is just drinking black coffee or green tea.
Nice. I need to get better at that. Drinking like plain coffee and tea without the sweeteners and the added stuff. But that's all really good information. I hope a lot of you are taking notes. This is great advice. While you are doing that, we also wanted to ask everyone another question to think about a little bit. Would you like to ask that one?
Let's ask the next question for all of you in the live chat. What is the biggest challenge when trying to eat healthy? Is it A, prep time, B, expensive, or C, tell us?
That's a good question, because I think a lot of people think when it comes to eating healthy, it requires more effort, more money, it's more of an investment. It sounds like. I don't know if you have anything to add about that, Sister Mia.
Yes, of course. So you're right. Eating healthy can be costly and it is definitely a lifestyle change. But remember the overall goal, right? Ultimately, healthcare, medications, hospitalizations in the end are so much more expensive. I like to think about, and I also tell my patients, food is medicine. If we eat the right things, we take care of our bodies in the long run, we can prevent these things. I often work with some of my patients to try to get off some of their medications, like their blood pressure medications, their diabetes medications, all with lifestyle change. And that's generally what you hear, right? You're like, oh, I'm not been feeling well. And you're like, oh, my sugars are high. You know what? Change your diet. That's kind of some of the easy, some people are like, oh, that's all they told me. But even though it sounds very simple, it holds like that foundational concept. So in the end, remember, you're making an investment in yourselves. Sometimes we have these cars and houses and we take good care of them. We clean with the right products. Maybe we only put one certain gas in our car because it's going to help the engine. Well, guess what? Our bodies are amazing machines and we're doing the same thing. So think about that. Another thing is, sometimes, and I get this, sometimes some healthy foods may not taste as great.
Yes.
And you just have to go and give it a try. My daughter has 5 food allergies. And so we've kind of tried to find a lot of alternatives. And there are so many out there, which is kind of the great thing about living these days, is that there's so many different alternatives out there. And you just don't give up, keep trying. And I will guarantee you there are some really good, healthy alternatives to other things like pizza. There's like a vegan one. So a lot of other alternatives. And then I think one of the other things I heard a lot on our shout outs and our comments was, I can't eat out fast foods. Like, what am I going to do now? And I'll tell you this, like I said, very busy sometimes. And it's about choices, making the right options. There are some fast food restaurants out there that maybe offer a grilled chicken option versus a deep fried option. Or maybe they offer some salads or maybe a wrap that kind of gets rid of some of the calories. So these are really good options. It's not that remember, it's all about choices and making the right decisions. And part of that is incorporating it into your lifestyle.
Nice.
Yeah. And one other thing I wanted to comment, because my daughter is so picky. She's 4 years old. And it's like, if you tell her what vegetables, and this is kind of one of the challenge, right? I'm the only one eating healthy. No one else in my family, they want to eat the snacks. And yes, it really is a group effort. And again, little steps, maybe changing the oil first or the lean proteins. But I've also part of it is educating our kids. So I've taught my daughter about the good and bad germs. They have these things on social media or like these cartoons that teach about how eating ice cream and a lot of these, sugary drinks and foods that are high in like hamburgers and hot dogs, it makes them sick. And then when they eat other things like healthy foods, it makes them healthy. And so my daughter has gotten this very comfortable about talking about that. So she's like, Mom, does this have good germs or bad germs? And some people get kind of confused. But again, incorporate our kids, incorporate our family, and make these small decisions, changes. Snacks and chips, I also do, but you can also make them, right? You can make there's banana chips. You can make your own potato chips by baking them instead of getting the ones that are made in a company, because most of them have a lot of preservatives.
I see.
Yeah, no, I love how you're incorporating it now that she's young, because as they get older, it's a little harder to change.
Absolutely.
I like it. Well, it's not too late for any of us tuning in too. We can definitely make these changes now in our diet, regardless of how old we are. Let's also read some comments that people are leaving from Jeffrey Dionisio from our INCRadio San Diego team. He says, SDC, rice up.
With all this talk about rice.
Yes. So,
Brother Patrick Archie says, I'm allergic to healthy food. And he's joking, of course.
Guess what? There's alternatives.
Not after today. From Brother Jared Paskewick, he says, ranch on pizza is the best. I agree.
Sister Cynthia Papa, I love plain Greek yogurt and add berries for flavor. NSD.
That's a good suggestion. From Jackie Ternal, Greek yogurt on everything. And she's from NC. Greek yogurt's really having their moment right now.
Yes. It's so good too.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Papa says we use beef, is that tallow, to
No.
cook?
Yes. Sounds like I learned
closer.
about this from my husband. I'm telling you, he's like a health
Interesting.
nut. Yeah, it's a different type of meat that's healthier. It's also beef, so
Okay.
it's an alternative to that. It's but I don't know a whole ton of it. My husband was just like, it's healthier than regular meat. It's lean. It's
Interesting. Okay.
I'll have to
So
look into that.
yes, we have to. That's research for another day. From Loretta Ordinario, my favorite seasoning is the lightly seasoned rice vinegar.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, we've gotten into making our own home dressings as well.
Nice.
Mm,
Lester Lane says white rice can be healthy when portioned in your diet.
nice.
Mhm.
Thank you, everyone, for your input. Please continue to leave your comments and suggestions. We have one more question to offer all of you before we wrap up our discussion with Sister Mia. Would you like to ask that one?
For our next question, now that you know, what are some healthy food swaps that you'll be making?
Got lots
So
of good
all of you in the
suggestions.
chat, let us know.
And while you do that, Sister Mia, for those with specific dietary restrictions, maybe diabetes or high blood pressure or even food allergies, what general advice can you give for making healthy food decisions?
Absolutely. Great question. We always encourage you to first speak with your medical provider because obviously there's specific things that can change your sugars, maybe some types of your sodium levels. But generally speaking, when we're talking about overall heart health, well-being, all healthy eating plans have like one thing in common, and that's kind of what we talked about. It's consuming non-starchy vegetables as the foundation, so a lot of the greens, colorful plate, right? A lot of the plant proteins, and then avoiding high protein, so you want to lean towards leaner proteins, less sugar, less fats, less processed foods, and avoiding any high sugary drinks. So you can see it's kind of this overall thing. Everyone kind of has the similarities.
Mhm.
So I will tell you, because sometimes it's kind of hard just to go off of this, right? You're like, I
Yeah.
really need some guidance. Well, guess what? There are some websites out there that you can get some valid guides on recipes, how to make how to make a grocery shopping list. And you can get this from the American Heart Association. If you have any high cholesterol levels or maybe battling or challenges with hypertension or high blood pressure, the American Diabetes Association, as well as the Arthritis Association. I want to bring that up because arthritis is bone health, our joint health, and I know some of our brethren are suffering from flares of gout. And so that's another thing is sometimes this is a general thing, right? We can always be healthy, but there are certain foods that can trigger certain flare-ups in high sugars. So there are fruits that are very healthy for us, for instance, that can elevate diabetes or high blood sugars. So sometimes like the pineapples or the cherries, but anyways, I'll leave that up to you. Go speak with your primary care provider. Another thing is on social media, they have dietitians, doctors, nurse practitioners who also give these advice. So make sure that you're following credible sources. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of guidance.
I love it. Thank you,
so
Sister Mia. That was so much great information. Before we go, would you like to give any quick shout outs?
Yeah, shout out to all the brethren who are here today. I'm so glad you're here. And then also wanted to invite anyone who has a medical background to the CMDPS or the Christian Medical Dental Paramedic Society. If you have expertise as a dietitian, as a nurse practitioner, as a nurse, a doctor, there's a whole list. Reach out to our leadership and we are welcoming you with open arms.
Definitely. Thank you so much again, Sister Mia. Let's give her a round of applause. That was such a good discussion.
It was.
Jazz, do you see that?
What's out there?
There's something coming up on the horizon. Yes. Like how last week in San Diego County, we had our CEBSI special gathering on February 22nd.
Yes, and then on February 23rd, we had a choir special gathering, and that was in Chula Vista.
Yes, both very special occasions. And that's what was on the horizon for the San Diego Satellite Studio. Jazz, are you excited?
Yes.
You should be, because we're announcing our Shout Out Challenge winners. In no particular order, here are the top 3 winners from last week's challenge. We have the local congregations of National City,
Yay!
North San Diego,
Woohoo!
and Vista.
Yay! Congratulations!
Yes. All right. Well, that's all the time we have today, everyone. I know this show flew by, but before we go, we'd like to greet and thank the following individuals who help make INCRadio San Diego possible. Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, our executive minister, Brother Angelo Oranio Manalo, our CEBSI president, Brother Wally Taray, our INCRadio station manager.
We would also like to say thank you to Brother Matt Capistrano, our supervising minister of SDC, Brother Herman Bendicio, our assistant supervising minister, Brother Christian Ko, our district multimedia advisor. Up next is INCRadio Sacramento.
Until next time, everyone, goodbye. Stay safe. We'll catch you on the next Wave. Come up here. There's Avery. Bye. See you next week. Yeah. The best
The one that knows all the good dreams and bad dreams. Thank you,
Bye, everyone.
This is INCRadio DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.